This is Season 10, round number 1 for Division 2 for RaceOnOz. This track we're racing at is Dragon Tail Seaside, home of the infamous Death Chicane and Eccles Corners. We're just running through the qualifying results for this first round. We have a consolidated group here from both Division 2 and Division 3, because this season we're running 3 divisions. Right, the lights are about to hit go and we are off and racing. Saturn with a decent start, Tolly and Bob makes a jump on BT, and they're both into the wall here. Both BT and Bob have had a crash before they even made the first corner. Saturn into the corner, side by side is everyone else. Eccles, Wiz, GGT with a good jump on the duck. So they head up through to the sandpit corner, and looks like everyone gets through fairly well and safely. So we're all now just starting to get into a rhythm here. Watching Eccles as he goes through a bit shallow there on the spine, comes out wide and cuts through the grass, goes out following the longest way possible up the spine. Looks like he's forced TGT out. We're going to have to watch that on a replay. Alright, we're just going to watch TGT as he goes up through the spine. Goes through the right line. You can see there Eccles trying to get back on the line. TGT gets forced out wide and out onto the curb, which bottoms the car out and makes him visit barrier. We're now watching Wiz take a dive down on the inside on Tolly. So he goes there at the tail, carrying the slider inside line, and gets the job done around Tolly as they lead up to Death Chicane. Speaking of Death Chicane, we're watching the duck lead the cluster of people going through into Death Chicane as they all start filing through. Duck hits the wall and is our first victim of Death Chicane here as he leads the cluster of drivers here. Absolute cluster of cars here. You can throw a blanket over the lot of them there. Eccles goes a little wide. I think he was bumped by the duck. Moon is leading the procession. This is an absolute cluster foundation of cars. It's got there, look like Glenn goes through. Brendan has spun and spun again. Glenn has come out worse for wear with that little group there. TGT coming up close to Glenn to get around. We'll have another attempt to make it through the spine safely. Glenn with a bit of damage in his car. TGT gets around and looks like has made it through. Watching now as Rain of Fire is right there behind Saturn. So he tries to get around Saturn. Saturn's going on a blocking line here. Rain of Fire looking to go up on the inside, own the apex there. Saturn's not giving any of his rings away and holds off Rain of Fire for this time round. Just watching a Dash Vanguard come down to the first chicane here. Going to the first corner here. Second part of the chicane. Looks like he just overcooks the car a little bit. Gives the sniff for the duck to come up to the sandpit corner and have a go around the outside of Dash, and gets around quite cleanly. Can he anchor the brakes on? And they both get around the corner before the sandpit envelopes them. Now watching Bob try and make up some pace as he's now got Glenn on his radar. He goes around, gets on the inside here of the kink quite safely and gets around Glenn fairly easily, as Bob is one of the new drivers here in this division or this group. And Glenn, if you remember from last season, it did fairly well. So Bob's showing everyone here how to drive. Further along in the race, you'll see Rain of Fire is having a go at Saturn as Saturn opens up his elbows or rings and fends off Rain of Fire. But there we can see the background in perfect position. Oh no, Rain of Fire has come off and Wiz has got around. I was going to say Wiz is making full advantage of these two tussling, and now Wiz is up into second place. Watching Wiz as he goes underneath the gantry down the hill to the Dragon's Tail, heads around and makes his way up into the infamous chicane area, going through at a good line, racing in the Jordan's livery, gets through fairly cleanly. It looks like Rain of Fire's gone through a bit slow through there, and Eccles heads on straight on through. As you can see, Rain of Fire down bottom left, he cops some damage there at the infamous Death Chicane. Seeing BT as he comes into behind teammate Savage Duck, looking for a way to get around. But there's also Evil Moon. He gets around Savage Duck fairly easily there, and now is gone to move on to Evil Moon, make an attempt to make his way back up through the field after the sour incident that he had earlier in the race. Seeing two Division 3 drivers who are now in Division 2 fight it out for minor points as Brendan goes through on the inside of the kink. Dash has got the inside run of the chicane here, but watching it through, Brendan gets through clean as you come, smooth as a whistle, and makes his way up into 10th position. Here with TGT as he gets through the Death Chicane, a bit sideways, and now he's got no pace about him. And you can recall, if anyone there was on the comms, this is when fruity language started to come through. His car is disconnected, but his communication online has remained. So TGT has lost connection with the game. As we have TGT disconnecting, we've got BT chasing down Moon, who's just taken it a little bit wrong there at that chicane. And we've got the Duck going in as well to have another crack at Moon, just to block Moon off, and BT gets around Moon fairly easily, but Moon seems to hold off the Duck, who's just dropped it back a little bit. So we're watching BT take the lead, or take the charge of these three cars here, going through into the sandpit chicane. As we goes around here, a few people have come unstuck here, and BT looks like he's done the same as well, just overcooks it and into the wall, meeting the barrier there. Race leader Saturn with Wiz hot on his heels, coming through down into the kink here. A very popular place to overtake is down here into the first chicane, and Wiz is having a crack at him, but Saturn's opened up his rings and prevented any sort of chance of Wiz to get around. Finally, we've got it now here with the Duck chasing down Moon, having a good look as we down the bottom end, past the tail into the Death Chicane sequence. Duck seems to be showing good pace through this section here, and Moon a little bit tail waggy as the Duck has now gone up and around into inside position, and to take position away from Moon around the corner. So we've got a yellow flag. What's the yellow flag? I have to see that on replay. Here's a replay of the yellow flag we had just a little bit earlier. We have Eccles as he goes around Eccles Bend, and this is why we call it Eccles Bend, because this is where Eccles bends his car. Whilst Eccles had spun out on his corner, we have Wiz with a big dive up on the inside here. Gets in front of Saturn, but Saturn does have the inside run on this chicane. Wiz has the final say as we come out of the chicane, and Wiz has taken the lead. Rain of Fire down to the tail and into the death chicane sequence. This is a highlight that a lot of people commonly see. As it goes through a bit shallow in the death chicane, hits the wall twice, 3 times, perpendicular in the most awkward spot to be, trying to straighten the car up, and the duck has killed him. And Eccles comes through, becomes the beneficiary of 2 cars, copping an absolute hiding through the death chicane. Watching with Wiz coming out of the pits, last driver to pit. How far in front of Saturn is he? You can see Saturn just there on the horizon. Wiz has finished the pit sequence with Saturn behind him. So Wiz still holds the race with 8 laps to go. You're watching Rain of Fire to get some momentum back into the race since his incident there at the death chicane. Going up on the inside, Glenn is going around Eccles Bend and gets around clean in the end. Selby Team Racing with Savage Duck fending off BT Wong, who has got the better pace of the two. Coming through down into the chicane, Savage Duck just breaks off earlier, lets his faster teammate through. For all accounts of this race, Tolly has had enough. He's just not finding the pace out of the car or the survivability in death chicane. We have our first retirement for the race. Actually, make that our second retirement for the race, excluding TGT, who disconnected. As we see Dash Vanguard just coming out of the pits just in front of Brendan. Brendan's got the momentum on him and just sails straight past. As Dash is one of the last guys to finish with this pit sequence. Brendan through with warmer tyres. The Brendan's to Dash's fresher tyres. And you see just another little highlight of the race. BT, who's still trying to make his way back up through the field, is now tangling with Bob, who they had a crash before the first corner. BT down on the inside, on the apex of the tail, gets in there, forces Bob out a little bit wide, and makes it through into the death chicane sequence in front of Bob. Rain of Fire charging down Dash Vanguard. So Rain of Fire is slowly but surely making his way back up through the field from his early incident. Gets around Dash Vanguard on the inside. Dash has got no other option but to let him through as they come up to the start-finish line for the 23rd time. Battle for first place happening here as Saturn is all over the back of Wiz as they're coming through to the final stretch for this lap. It's the start of lap 24. Saturn is all over the back of Wiz. Wiz has got really nowhere to go, can't really defend. Goes on the inside line to keep Saturn honest, but Saturn's now got the dive opportunity into this chicane and gets in front of Wiz, holds him off, and they are still racing, but with Saturn now in front of Wiz. So he holds him off into the sandpit corner. They're both fighting it tooth and nails to be the inaugural winner for this season in Division 2. These two drivers still fighting it out as Wiz is going to have another crack at him through this optimal point of overtaking. Wiz on the inside, but Saturn opens his shoulders out or his rings out and defends Wiz this time through the chicane fairly successfully, but then Wiz looking to have a go on the inside through the sandpit corner. Looks like he's got the quicker run and is through into first place. Holds him off as they're coming up and leading up into the spine. Now watching here, two ex-Div 4 drivers fighting it out. This could be a rivalry to watch throughout the whole season. We got Rain of Fire from Div 2 watching these two fight it out. It'll be quite hard for Rain of Fire to get through, but as you can see, Dash is all over Brendan, and Dash is not unfamiliar with rivalries this last season. He and TGT were close in fighting. As you can see, Brendan's just holding off Dash as Dash is looking for a way around the outside. Can't quite get it there. As they now lead into the Jeff chicane sequence. They both should get through here fairly fine. Or will they? Who will survive? So they both get through clean as a little bit of bumping, but Dash and Brendan are still fighting it hard with only just 2 laps to go. Yellow flag. We've got a yellow flag. What happened here with the yellow flag? It looks like BT. We're going to have to watch the replay on that one. This is the replay of BT coming into Eccles Bend. It's going through. Looks like he's got a good line through there. And just puts the foot down and changes the gear. Probably just that shade too late. And he's met the same portion of the wall as what Eccles has done, and now just reversed into probably the most awkward place you could be as the cluster of 3 drivers whip around him fairly quickly, but front end damage is not going to do him any favours. BT down into 10th. Now watching Saturn have a chance and a go at Wiz. He is in the perfect position to do it, right there in the slipstream. Not quite close enough as he was before, but leading into the chicane here, Wiz puts in a blocking manoeuvre, tries to hold Saturn back, but Saturn quicker around the outside than the inside. Wiz a bit sideways. Saturn is through and back up into first position. Final lap here as we're watching 2 rivals really fight it out. And we've got here Dash fighting everything, throwing everything at Brendan to get around Brendan. Brendan's not letting him through. Rain of Fire wants to have a piece of the action as well. On the inside of Dash, pushes Dash out wide, but Dash is holding him off as well. Gives Brendan a little bit of breathing space. So we're now watching a true fight here between 3 drivers. Certainly hope that they're enjoying this. No touchy-feelies happening, but they are fighting it out. Coming round the corner for the final time of this race, we have the race leader, UrsineSaturn8, coming through with Wiz from New Zealand up close behind. Quite a close finish. Number 1 and 2. Now 3, Evil Moon closely in 3rd. We have Eccles finishing the race in 4th. Bob made his way up into 5th position. Don't care who comes in 6th, no one does. Brendan Stimpy still fighting off Dash Vanguard and Rain of Fire as they're coming down. It could be anyone's race here, but Brendan holds off Dash, followed closely by Rain of Fire. BT, incident field race in 10th. Glenn, he'll make up 11th position as he comes through the race. And that will be it with Tolly, who unfortunately retired the race early. Thanks for watching the first race of the season. Full of action and dramas to boot. Too close to call who would be the best drivers for this season. It does show that some of the Div 2 drivers still hold pace, but it's good to see that there's Div 3 and Div 4 even putting pressure on the Div 2 drivers in this group. I do hope everyone did enjoy that and be keen to watch next week's race at Suzuka. If any details that you want to see or more information you want to see, go to the links below, and I hope to see you there either on track day or further on watching the streams, which also will be put in the links below. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for Emmo and HalfByte for the images in this race. See you next time.